Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a slow, calm, resourceful breath. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of tension, any stress, any worries, to feel that gradually, yet consistently, they're leaving your body in every outward breath. So as you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, just know that it's more than just tension that's being released. As you breathe in and breathe out, allow your mind to search for any suppressed emotions. Maybe they're buried deep from a long time ago. And maybe those emotions could be linked to shame, humiliation, embarrassment, or even guilt. But as you breathe in and breathe out, feel that any suppressed emotions are coming to the surface. Slowly at first, that it is safe to let go of any of these old emotions. Your unconscious has already learned whatever it's needed to learn, and therefore there is no value in holding on to or suppressing any emotion. I want you to imagine how much effort it would take to try and hold an inflatable ball beneath the surface of the water. Imagine a large inflatable ball, and you could imagine that it would take huge amounts of effort and concentration to keep trying to push the ball below the surface of the water. And I wonder, consciously or unconsciously, how much effort has been expended to try and hold emotions down. And sometimes when emotions are trying to be pushed and forced down, sometimes they come out in surprising ways. So as you breathe in and breathe out, feel that it is safe to let go, to release those emotions and feel those emotions leave your body in that outward breath. Feel that you are breathing in acceptance and you are breathing out shame. You are breathing in a sense of resourcefulness, and any suppressed embarrassment is leaving your body in that outward breath. As you feel more and more relaxed, more and more comfortable, and I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you have the ability to see the past, the present, and the future all at exactly the same time. I want you to imagine yourself as a small child, perhaps just 2 or 3 years old, knowing that all emotions emotional patterns are learned. There was a time in your past where buttons meant nothing to you at all. So just imagine that small child and see that version of you completely oblivious and ambivalent to buttons, and accept that that is your past. Breathe in and breathe out and imagine a future 6 months from now, and imagine how you would be if for an entire 6 months there was no intense emotions linked to buttons at all. No disgust, no arousal, just indifference. Use the power of your imagination to imagine that future version of you. And maybe you can see yourself around people wearing buttons, potentially even attractive people wearing a shirt with buttons. And you can tell from your facial expression that you couldn't care less about the buttons. In fact, in this future version of you, the most important thing that can influence your emotions is the face. And that might be the shape of eyes, a smile, a facial expression or a gesture. All of those things have become infinitely more important to you than whatever buttons they happen to be wearing. And as you think about that future version of you, accept with certainty that that is your future. A future where you are indifferent to buttons or anything like them. But I want you to imagine yourself in this future doing something that gives you evidence that something has changed. We can call this the convincer strategy. See that in your future, you are doing something that you could only do if your emotional attachment or connection to buttons has changed. See that future version of you convincing you now in the present that not only has something changed, but also that it has changed for a long time. You could imagine the past, you as a child without any emotional association to buttons, and you can imagine yourself in the future free of any emotional connection to buttons. And then imagine yourself in the recent present. Maybe a recent memory where there was an emotional attachment to buttons. I want you to imagine that memory like you're watching a movie. See it as it was. But then when it gets to the end, imagine that you're watching it backwards. So that whatever emotion you felt around buttons happens in reverse. So imagine watching a movie where it starts at the end and ends at the beginning. And imagine that now as whoosh. It can happen quickly, just in a second or so. Everything happens backwards. And then do that again. Maybe change the memory or keep the memory the same. Just imagine you're observing yourself like you're someone else. But it starts at the end and then whoosh, rewind it all the way backwards to a point in time where there was no emotional intensity at all. And when you're convinced you know how it happens backwards, then step into that recent memory feeling like you are in your own body, but at the end of the memory. And then imagine everything happening backwards from a first-person perspective, like you're in your own body, and the movements are backwards, the thoughts are backwards, the motion is backwards. Imagine how it would be for everything to happen backwards. Let's try that again and make it faster. You're at the end of the memory in your own body, and then whoosh, feel that everything's happened backwards so fast that you're now at the beginning of the memory before the memory even started. And then observe how you would have wanted things to have been with no emotional association to buttons. Observe what you would do if there was a change. And maybe the clues are a facial expression. Maybe the focus is directed towards the facial features rather than any clothing. As you breathe in and breathe out, continue to observe all the different scenarios where something has changed in that same recent memory. Rather than seeing it as it was, I want you to see it as you would have wanted it to have been if the emotional connection to buttons had changed. And you can see scenario after scenario being different until you find the one that you're most happy with, the one that feels like it's the most real, likely version of you as to how you would handle that situation if things were different. And then have it at the beginning, before the memory even started. Step into that memory, and now play it forward like you're in your own body, only this time experiencing it as you would want it to be. And you can do that several times until it feels that you have broken the connection. Any emotional association has now changed. So now when you think about the past, you imagine a past with no emotional association with buttons. When you imagine your future, you could imagine yourself doing something that proves that things have changed. And when you think of any memories, you start to think of the memories how you would want them to be if any emotional connection with buttons was now as you want it to be. And perhaps a change has taken place. That whatever emotional intensity was linked to buttons has now decreased all the way down. But the emotional connection to facial features, expressions, has increased inversely proportionately to the intensity of buttons going down. As the intensity of buttons goes down, the emotional intensity linked to faces has now increased. Imagine you're going backwards and forwards in time, updating things to reflect a new belief. That all along it was never the buttons that caused the emotional intensity. just the meaning and the associations given to them. So as you breathe in and breathe out, and as you relax deeper, you begin to feel just how true that sense of calm neutrality towards all buttons has become, viewing them as simple, ordinary objects just like a piece of paper. And imagine writing on that paper that it is the evaluation, the meaning that causes the emotion and never was the button. So imagine buttons losing all of their emotional weight, becoming as insignificant in your mind as a common zipper or any other fastener that you see every day. And each time you see a button from this point forwards, notice an increasing level, a wave of neutrality washing over you, cleansing any old feelings of shame, guilt, or even disgust. They are dissipating, dissolving, leaving your body in your outward breath. And the emotional intensity that has been lost in buttons, feel that it is increasing when you allow yourself to focus on the unique features of people's faces, noticing the details that make each person unique. And every time you look at someone's face, your interest and appreciation for their features grows stronger, more vivid and meaningful. Feel a sense of release from any negative emotions tied to buttons. With every breath out, feel that you are letting go of those feelings completely. And in particular, any emotions that have been suppressed and buried deep, feel that they are leaving your body in that outward breath. And as you release these feelings about buttons, you open up more space in your heart and mind to admire and appreciate the human face. Imagine as you look at buttons that you feel nothing more than if you were looking at any ordinary household item. Feel that it is devoid of any emotional attachment. And each day, buttons become more and more unremarkable to you as your fascination with the beauty and uniqueness of facial expressions deepens. Allow yourself to feel a profound sense of peace and indifference whenever encountering buttons, as if they are just another regular, meaningless item in your day-to-day life. And as you continue to feel neutral and indifferent about buttons, notice how liberating it feels to be free from any negative emotions that were previously connected to them. Because your mind now reassigns energy from buttons to the captivating features of faces, increasing your emotional engagement with every human interaction. Imagine a scale where your feelings towards buttons decrease, while your emotional intensity towards facial features increases, balancing and reprioritizing your emotional focus. Every look at a button reinforces your feeling of indifference, while every glance at a face enriches your emotional connections. Slowly at first, and then more rapidly, you embrace this new perspective, where buttons are trivial and uninteresting, and faces are rich with emotion and intrigue. Breathe in and breathe out and feel like you're returning to the present moment, but taking a change with you. That as one emotional intensity has decreased, the emotional intensity for faces, expressions, and features has increased. And this will lead you to a chain reaction that means in the near future you will do the very thing that convinces you that a change has taken place and that change will be permanent. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connecting fully with the present moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, that you have let go and detached from suppressed emotions and harnessed a new intrigue and curiosity for the infinite variety of the human face. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.